Hello and welcome to Missionary Messages. We're going to get to our categories in just a minute, but before I do, I just want to let everybody know that I will not be as consistent on my 6 to 8 viewers that are watching. I'm sure that you're just going to miss me so much, but anyways, so I won't be able to do this every week during the summer because I will be traveling a little bit. So my daughter, she works at Delta. She has for a couple of years, and so she travels for free, and I also get to travel for free. And so she's been wanting me to travel a little bit and just to get out and do things, and she also wants to travel with me sometimes. And so I decided that that's what I'm going to do this summer. I'm going to get out and I'm going to do some traveling. And since, I might as well take advantage of it while she works at Delta. So I am going to travel, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story that my daughter and I, before she went on her mission the first time, she had to come back because she tore her ACL and had to get surgery. And then almost a year later, pretty much, she went back on her mission. But the first time she went, before she went, we went on a trip and we were in California. And I'm just going to tell you this story because if you are thinking about traveling, if you're thinking about wanting to get out there and doing some fun things, then hopefully this will give you permission. You've been thinking about it, and then you just needed to hear another voice say, "Oh yeah, go do it, go have fun." And so this is that voice, hopefully, and giving you permission to go out and do some fun things. So I'm just going to tell you this one story. I like traveling with my daughter because we both are social and we like to meet new people. We like to hear people's stories. And so when we were in California at this hotel, before we went out, we were just like, well, let's go explore because it was a really nice hotel. I don't know, we got a good deal on this hotel, so it was a pretty big hotel. And so we were exploring, and we saw this Indian family, like from India, and I was like, "Oh, Karamia, let's go talk to these people." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, Mom. They might not want us to." And I was like, "Oh, let's go talk. They look so happy and they look so bright because, in India they have all the bright clothing and they really dress up fancy, and so it was kind of cool." And so she's like, "Okay." And so we went over there and we started talking to these ladies and finding out their stories and their history, and they were just telling us everything about themselves. And they ended up bringing us to where the reception was, and they invited us to the wedding. And the reception, we weren't able to attend all of it because we had a place to go. But they were like, "Take pictures with us. We want you to take pictures." And this was the first day of their celebration. So they have all these different celebrations, and this was the first out of 4 days that they were celebrating this wedding. And they were doing it in America. And so they allowed us to take pictures. Even the men were like, "Come take pictures with us." And so we had a bunch of pictures, and they had those, not tattoos, but they draw these things on their arms when this celebration is going on. I don't remember what they were called. But anyway, so we had a good time meeting these people. And I'm just telling you this because if you go, enjoy yourself, meet new people, engage in society, and have fun while you're doing it. And I'll just show you a quick picture. That is me and the women, and everything was so bright, like everything was so happy, and these weddings were like beautiful, and they had all these bright colors and amazing things. And so I'm giving you permission to go out, enjoy your summer, enjoy yourselves, meet new people, do some fun things, and just enjoy life this summer while it's nice and warm and before the snow starts again. Okay, so back to our categories. So our categories today are all Candace, Matt, and Michael. So first, Candace. So Candace, and this is about the word of wisdom again. So Candace said that she stopped drinking when she was younger because she had this feeling that God wanted her mind to be clear. She was talking about how he had a job and a role for her to play. And in order for her to do that with excellency, she needed to stop drinking and stop engaging in things like that, so her mind would be clear and she would be able to do the job that he had for her to do. And she would be able to accomplish all the things that he wanted her to accomplish. And so she needed to have a clear mind. And God knew that in order to have the Spirit with her more abundantly, she would need to abstain from all of these things that would hurt her body in some way. So Candace is a great example of us for living the word of wisdom as a non-member. She changed a lot of people's lives. Like people stopped drinking because of her message. And I think that's really important, that a lot of people, like Matt says, you're never going to stop people from drinking. But you know what? You can add your influence to the world like Candace did, and it could help in the progression to that. And so Candace, she eats good, she exercises consistently, she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't use drugs, and even prescription drugs, she tries not to use them, but sparingly unless it's very needed. And so she is really a good example of even a non-member living the word of wisdom. When you look at Candace, you feel her spirit, and you kind of do think, oh, she's a warrior. Yeah, you kind of do think that. At least I do. So why do we have the word of wisdom? So when Joseph Smith was on the earth, he was in this meeting with all these men, and they were smoking and drinking and spitting tobacco on the floor and things like that. And he just looked around and was like, oh, this is awful, and he inquired of the Lord about it, and the Lord told him about the word of wisdom, and that he wanted the word of wisdom to be a commandment in our church, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that's how it came about. And you can imagine, how can the Spirit be somewhere where you're in a room smoking and drinking and your mind's being altered? Do you really think the Spirit can dwell with you in those situations? Okay. So Joseph Smith received the word of wisdom because God knew that we would have problems, right? What kind of problems do we have? He knew that food we would be eating would be bad for us. He knew that we would have trouble with weight. It's like 40% of people are overweight and obese in America. 40%? That's crazy. And even the food that we have, we wonder why we have cancer, but there's what's the word? I can't think of the word now, but ingredients in food. And they also, I've seen on labels, like in the Hostess Twinkie section, I was looking in there one day to see, and it said that some of those products can cause cancer and health risks. I mean, they're basically saying that right out, and people still eat it. It's like, ooh, that's not good for you. But anyways, so he knew that with technology, people wouldn't be getting outdoors. They might be a lot more lazy than people before 200 years ago. He knew that people might work hard because of the easiness of and conveniences of technology and easy access to everything, including even transportation. People don't have to walk or run or ride bikes so much anymore because of the ease of transportation. He knew that drugs would reach a level of destruction to our bodies that would lead to death. Look at all the people that are dying because of drugs. He knew addictions would overcome us and rule over us. He knew that the world would teach us false truth about vices. So even Michael and Matt teach false truth about vices. They tell us that alcohol and smoking are not vices, which is hypocritical because, like, they talk about pornography and everything else as a vice. Well, alcohol and smoking are vices just as much as drugs. And so, yes, and Matt, you can get rid of it if you are an example and an influence to others in that. But right now you're not, because you encourage it. Not like you tell people to do it, but you encourage it by telling them that you do it and that it's okay. So if you think about this, think about Noah, and think about in Noah's time before the flood, people lived to 700 to 800 years, right? They lived long lives. And then it just stopped, right? After Noah and the flood, people didn't live as long. So why is that? So why don't we live? Obviously, we had bodies. God gave us bodies that would live 700 to 800 years. And as far as we know, he was planning on that for the rest of this earth life until he comes again, right? In Genesis 6:3, it says, "And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh." So, I mean, because flesh is going to die, right, eventually. "Yet his days shall be 120 years. So, God was telling Noah, you know, man has lived very long on the land so far. Like, they've lived here 700, 800 years. Everyone is living that long. And he said that now, after this flood, his days will be 120. And so the Lord told Noah that man has come to the point where they are not using their bodies for the right reasons. They don't take care of them. They're abusing them. They're drinking. They're doing all these sorts of things with their bodies, misusing them, and even like fornication, adultery. They were doing things that were not good with that too. But part of it was they were doing a lot of drinking and partying and things like that. And they are abusing them. And not only am I going to set a flood to wipe them out, I'm going to shorten their lives. So at this point, God was telling Noah, the people's lives are going to be shortened. It's sad, don't you think, that the people that came before us misused their bodies so badly that now our lives are shortened because of it, because of their decisions. God no longer trusted us to use our bodies the right way. He's saying, you know what? I don't trust you. You're not doing the right things with your body, so I'm going to shorten your days. I mean, it's just like even the food we eat, whatever it is, you know, the drugs we take or whatever can shorten our lives because of our decisions. So God's letting us live maybe as long as we possibly can, but what do our decisions, how are our decisions making us live shorter lives? Okay, so a couple weeks ago, Michael was answering a man's question. And so Michael, I cannot even believe that you even said this stuff to this man, but we're going to talk about this a little bit. A man's question was, should he start smoking cigars? He is engaged to this woman and she does not want him to start smoking cigars, but he wants to. So he wants to start smoking cigars because of Michael, because Michael has a cigar company and he's trying to promote it. And every day he tells people, smoke my cigars, you know, this is a good thing. And a lot of people will even write into him and say, this is a vice, Michael, you shouldn't be promoting this. And he's like, no, it's not a vice. And so he promotes this. And so this man was like, oh, I like Michael. I'm going to start smoking cigars. So this 22-year-old man is engaged. And because of Michael, he has become interested in smoking cigars and did it for the first time. And he really liked it. So he wants to continue doing it. His fiance thinks as a man of faith, he should prioritize her and her concerns. He should not be smoking cigars. And he said that he should not be smoking cigars. And Michael told this man that there are no religious and ethical reasons to not enjoy a cigar occasionally. So this is what Michael is telling this man. So the man's question is it necessary to forgo smoking cigars to respect my fiance's wishes, or could we reach an understanding that would allow me to indulge? So Michael was like, indulge? What? Smoking cigars isn't indulging. It's just doing what you want, right? So Michael told him to never use that phrase, allow me, with regard to your fiance or your wife. So basically he was saying your wife can't allow you to do anything. You get to choose. So you said to him, are you the wife? You're telling this man, are you the wife or are you the husband? I mean, how ignorant is that, for one thing, Michael? I can't even believe that you would say that. But I guess, so you asked him if he was the head of his household or will be. You said to not disregard his wife's wishes and take them into account, but you said that his wife's wishes in this case, though, are not reasonable. You told him that too bad, whether she likes it or not. You said that he is the head of the household, or will be, and will be the husband. You told him that he needs to nip this stuff in the butt. You told him that he's getting married and needs to establish how his household is going to run. You told him that part of being a man is being able to smoke cigars and to tell his future wife that you have considered her opinion and you found it unpersuasive and you're going to do it anyways. And she needs to get in line. Oh man, Michael, this is horrible stuff. I can't even believe you said this stuff. You told him to make sure he sets this up before he gets married. He said, you got to be the husband. Yeah. Okay, Michael. So you basically told this man that he should choose cigars over his wife, future wife. Okay, so do you think, Michael, that the reason she fell in love with this man is because he didn't smoke cigars? Obviously, she said that she felt like he was a man of faith, and that's why she was attracted to him. That's what made her like him. And you're telling him to throw all that out the window and say, I don't care if that's why you like me, because I like cigars and I'm going to smoke them. Okay, so Michael, you, Matt, and Candace talk a lot about how people change after they're married, and how that's not always a good thing if it's in a negative way. And so at least this woman is finding out before she gets married that this man doesn't regard her at all, and the things that she feels about him. And so instead of him putting her in line, she just needs to kick him out the door before they get married and he starts doing all these other awful things that she didn't fall in love with him for in the first place. And that's what happens. And like I said, you, Matt, and Candace talk about this a lot, where people change after they get married. They work so hard to get someone, but then after they're like, oh, I'm comfortable. I can gain 50 to 100 pounds. I don't have to work out. I can smoke cigars. I don't have to go to church anymore. I just wanted her to marry me, and she knew I went to church, and now I don't have to. I can watch pornography. I can do this, because one vice leads to another vice, and then another, and then like drugs and alcohol, you need more of that stimulant, so you go to other things to get more of that. So, yeah, I believe in marriage. I do agree with you and Matt and Candace's assessment of a man being a head of the household, and he needs to be the head of the household. I do believe that. I believe in marriage. I think marriage is a wonderful, beautiful thing, and I have seen my parents for 60 years and what marriage is supposed to be like. My dad is not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but he is a good husband. And one thing that we always knew growing up is that my dad loved my mother and he respected her, and I never really remember them fighting really growing up, and all I knew is that he loved her. He always showed affection towards her, and that's the way marriage should be. And this man really isn't taking in consideration his wife when he's willing to give it all up because he wants to smoke cigars. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You're giving up a good woman to smoke cigars? Doesn't even make any sense. And this is why she loves you. Get better as you get older. Don't get worse. You're supposed to work hard at marriage. You're supposed to be a better person and become one. And I noticed that with my parents. The older they get, the more they actually are like one person. And that respect and love through the years of what the other person needs and wants is why we become one. So, Michael, I know you like cigars, but this was really bad advice, and this man should not take your advice. He should love his wife, respect her, and become a better man than what she fell in love with him for, not a worse man. Okay, and then she can say, yeah, you're the head of the house, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. Okay, so in essence to this, Michael, the Catholic Church is sort of easy. We have temples that give us sort of ambition to keep our bodies clean. We are told in the scriptures that what in 1 Corinthians it says, know ye not that ye are a temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy, for the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So when we go to the temple, we have to obey the word of wisdom. We have to not drink alcohol, not smoke, not take drugs, and we don't drink coffee and tea. And we'll get to that in just a second. But so we have a goal, right? We have a goal in our church to be better, to make ourselves stronger, to make our minds spiritually clear, like Candace was saying. And we do this we go to the temple, we have to have these list of rules, I guess you would say, or commandments rather. And commandments aren't a bad thing because even the Catholic Church has commandments. But you don't have to do anything, Michael. What goal are you pressing forward to? You don't have temples that you need to go to, and you need to be clean and pure to go to those temples. You don't have any really ambitions. You go to church, you take your sacrament, and you try to be good people. But other than that, what other rule do you have? I mean, besides the Ten Commandments, you don't have anything that says make yourself better. You don't have a list of things that will encourage you in your life to get better. And going to the temple, having temples, and having regulations on how to get to the temple helps us become a better people, and helps, like Candace says, a clear mind, a clear body. That's important. So vices are bad, and smoking cigars is a vice, Michael. We are created in God's image, and so Matt often talks about how it doesn't say in the scriptures, he uses the story Jesus changed at the wedding, he changed the wine or the water into wine, and he says that in the scriptures there's nothing that says you can't drink wine or alcohol. Okay, yes there is. Okay, so I'm going to read some of those. In Leviticus it says, do not drink wine nor strong drink, nor thy sons with thee. And it says, and that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between clean and unclean. Judges 13 says, now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink. Numbers 6 says, ye shall separate himself from wine and strong drink. Deuteronomy, their wine is poison of dragons. 1 Corinthians, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards shall inherit the kingdom of God. Galatians, envyings, murders, drunkenness, and such like, of the which I tell before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Isaiah 28, but they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. Judges 13, now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink. So, Matt, there's some scriptures right there, just a few, so you could probably find some more. So yes, Matt, it's a vice. And in the scriptures, it tells us that it is not good for us. It is not good for our bodies. It's not good for our minds. And it just will lead the spirit away. Just like the men in that meeting that Joseph Smith had, the spirit couldn't reside in places that are like that. So why don't we drink coffee or tea? Because coffee and tea, and you can't deny this, that coffee and tea are strong drinks. And yes, we can drink caffeinated drinks. But like I said before, God isn't going to command us in all things. He wants us to do things because we're smart, because we're going to use wisdom. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not prohibited to go to the temple, but energy drinks are not good for you. You should not drink them. Even caffeinated drinks. There's even links to cancer when you drink a lot of carbonated drinks. So there's a reason behind all that God does. The word of wisdom is to protect us from harm, and physical harm and spiritual harm. And that's why we have the word of wisdom. So we need to make sure our bodies are like a temple. We need to not engage in vices. We need to observe our surroundings and see what's good for us and bad for us, and not learn from experience by partaking of these things. Even Michael says that you learn from experience sometimes, like with drugs or whatever. But basically, he's saying you just do a little bit at a time, and it's okay. But it's not okay. It's not okay to have these things in our life. And God is just trying to perfect us. He's trying to make us like him. And when God comes to visit us, we're not gonna be like, oh, come on, sit down with us, Jesus, and let's smoke a cigar, or let's have a drink. Yeah, Michael, you're not going to do that, and neither would you, Matt. You would make sure your house was clean and orderly. You definitely would not offer Jesus Christ a cigar. So we need to make sure we're keeping our bodies clean. We need to make sure that we're exercising. We need to make sure that we're keeping the word of wisdom. We need to make sure that the Spirit is